Hey folks, what's up? It's Adam here. I can't seem to go. Welcome to the Movie Vault. Right, we've come up now into the instalment into the franchise where, in my opinion, starts to go a little downhill. Now, Leprechaun 3, which is where we're up to right now, was the first Leprechaun movie to go direct to video. Leprechaun 2 came out in theatres. But part 3 came straight direct to video. And right off the bat, I'll tell you right now, I'm not the biggest Leprechaun fan for number 3. Now, I like the Leprechaun character. I had fun with the first Leprechaun movie. My favourite Leprechaun movie was part 2. Why, some people say? Because I like the humour in Leprechaun 2. Like I say, it only suits certain people's taste, these Leprechaun movies. You know, got the Blu-ray set right here, which contains Leprechaun 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that fucking god-awful piece of shit Leprechaun Origins made by WWE, where Hornswoggle takes over the role of Leprechaun. Fuck off. But Leprechaun 3 takes place in Las Vegas. Okay, it's a great factor that Warwick Davis comes back to play the Leprechaun. This is his third time playing the character. I mean, when I met Warwick Davis and I asked him what his favourite Leprechaun movie was, he said it was the first movie. But after doing some more research about Leprechaun 3, some resources say that this was his favourite film because he liked the humour in this film more than any of the Leprechaun films that he made. But I don't, you don't believe everything you read online. But like I said, the first movie I liked. The second one was my favourite, but number 3, unfortunately, was one of those films that I did not like as much as number 1, and certainly not number 2. Number 2, in my opinion, had the great humour, where he's at the bar drinking, trying to sober up by drinking those cups of coffee in the coffee shop. We had good little gore scenes in that movie. The scene where he pulls out that homeless guy's tooth, pulls off that guy's finger, stabbing those forks through them coffee assistant shopping assistant's hands, burning his face with a kettle. I was satisfied with number 2. Now, just like part 2, it does not take place after the previous movie. Number 2 didn't take place after the first movie because we never saw Jennifer Aniston come back or any of the other characters in the first movie. Leprechaun 3 is just the same. Takes place in a whole new different setting, whole new different plot, whole new different characters. And that's a shame. The shame there's no major storyline between these movies. And now I've noticed now in the Leprechaun films, we've got to the stage now where they keep changing the rules every single fucking time. Because it was like a 4-leaf clover that killed the Leprechaun in the first movie. The second one, where he got stabbed. But in the third movie, I'll get into why they destroyed the gold and that destroys the Leprechaun. So they do keep changing the rules in these Leprechaun films. But right off the bat, I'll tell you straight away about Leprechaun 3. It just wasn't there for me. I'm not saying the movie is like a horrendous piece of shit. Because in my opinion, the film that was the most horrendous piece of shit in the Leprechaun films was Leprechaun in the Hood. Back to the Hood I enjoyed. I'll get to that when I come to review that movie. But this is about Leprechaun 3. The film opens up with this guy going into a pawn shop. Got one eye, one leg, one arm. And he's got this leprechaun statue that has a medallion around its neck. It gives it to the guy in the pawn shop. We learn that the leprechaun comes back when you remove the medallion from its neck. So that's exactly what happens. The pawn bloke takes the medallion off the leprechaun. The leprechaun comes back. We see a scene where he bites off the guy's finger and his toe. And the leprechaun's back. And then we introduce the main character. Obviously, he's driving his car. He's heading to California. He picks up a hitchhiker. This hitchhiker is working in a casino in Las Vegas. He takes her to the place where she works. And despite him being underage, He manages to do some betting in this casino where he loses. One thing leads to another, and we get to a scene where the lead character goes into the pawn shop, you know, and this is the part that really fucks up my mind. He sees the shopkeeper dead, yet he finds one of the leprechaun's gold coins, and this happens to be a computer in the same store. And we learn that these gold coins of the leprechaun could grant you wishes. And the first wish he makes straight away is that I wish that I had more winnings or anything like that. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he says, I wish I had more luck, more winnings from all the money I just lost. And he teleports there. But the bit I don't get is, you've just come across a dead body. Wouldn't your first impression to be freaked out? Wouldn't your first impression to be call the police or, inform people of what's happened? But he's having the time of his life because he's winning all this money in the casino, all this cash. So I suppose that didn't cross his mind. I'm thinking, what a human being. He's making millions. He's making all this money from the slot machines and all the casino games, and he's not even bothered to inform people of this pawn shopkeeper's death until later on. Oh, by the way, there's this dead body in the pawn shop. You know what I mean? So, obviously the leprechaun's around. He's trying to find his gold coin. We do see a scene which I did like, where that Elvis impersonator pulls out the limo. Warwick Davis does a good job doing an Elvis Presley voice impression. Why, thank you very much. And dances like Elvis. I like that little scene. I thought that was a little bit humorous. But we learn that the girl who was hitchhiking is working for this magician in the casino, who is somewhat of an asshole, and he's doing demonstrations as a magician, blah blah blah. The film does introduce some more characters along the way, characters that I wasn't particularly a big fan of. I'd say the truth, I didn't really like the death scenes in this movie. There's a scene where one of the leading characters wishes to be pretty. She ends up turning fat. She has massive lips, massive tits, massive ass, and she blows up. But I swear, when she blows up, you see more sand than you do fucking blood. You know what I mean? And I'm thinking, what a horrendous death scene. You know what I mean? If someone blows up, their blood and guts are going to go fucking everywhere. Here you see sand. You get the one of the villains, in his hotel room, wishes he had a woman. This woman comes out the TV, starts kissing him and etc. Wouldn't the first thing in your mind say that you're freaked out? I know it showed a little bit of a scene earlier on where the leprechaun's blood is now inside his body, so he's turning into a leprechaun himself. But come on. Someone coming out the TV to seduce you. Wouldn't the first thing that goes through your mind is what the fuck's happening here? But he's just going along with it like as if it's perfectly normal. Warwick Davis does do a good job of his character in this movie, I admit that. But in my opinion, the script for this movie was a little bit wrong. I mean, seeing him in a location in Las Vegas worked to some extent, but I wish I could have just made it into a better movie. But Warwick Davis mentioned at this film convention that I went to, he's saying that Leprechaun can appear in any type of scenery, whether it's in the hood, in space, in Las Vegas. He says he can even take place in Disneyland or any fucking where. It's one of them characters that can appear anywhere. You know what I mean? So like in the first movie, when you've got him in that countryside, the second movie in Los Angeles, the third one in Las Vegas, fourth one in space, 5 and 6 in the hood. You know what I mean? So he can appear anywhere. But I just wish they could have done a little better job with this movie. It's a shame that these movies, they change the rules, about the gold coins granting you wishes. I've noticed that in every single one of these movies, the leprechaun gets stabbed in the eye. He got stabbed in the eye in the first movie by Jennifer Aniston. He got stabbed in the eye in the second movie. He gets stabbed in the eye in this movie. And I swear he got stabbed in the eye in one of the scenes in the Hood movies. So they're using that a lot, to stab the leprechaun. It's mainly in his eye. So They changed the rules a bit by how to kill the leprechaun, but yet they use the same stint all the time, which is stabbing the leprechaun in the eye. So that seems to be one of his bad luck factors, getting stabbed in the fucking eye. So we get that scene, the woman getting fat with big tits, big ass, big lips, blowing up, which I thought was really poor. I thought some of the death scenes in 1 and 2 were better than this. We see the ending scene taking place in the casino area. A guy gets sawn in half during a magic trick. You see a little bit of blood there. That wasn't too bad. A flamethrower was used because it was going to be used for a magic trick in that night. They set the gold on fire, which they find, because the second half of this movie is basically about this gold coin being used by different types of people, and they're making wishes, and all these things are happening to them. So we get like a back and forth sequence with this gold coin that the leprechaun's trying to get back. They set the gold on fire at the end, and the leprechaun bursts into flames, basically. So that's another rule-changing factor they did. Destroy the gold. The leprechaun dies. First one was a 4-leaf clover. The second one getting stabbed by this particular object and then blown up. In the third one, he simply destroys gold. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of rule changings, apart from the one being stabbed in the eye. So overall, Leprechaun 3, it does have 1 or 2 humorous moments. I love the Elvis Presley impression that the Leprechaun did. I like them little skits that he did on the TV screen. That was funny to some extent. Some of the rhymers were, the straight up rhymers were okay. But the characters in this movie, I just did not care for them. I love the actress who played Bridget in part 2 because she had gorgeous tits, if they were her tits. It wasn't supposed to be got like a stunt double or another actress to do the tit flashing scene, but they were gorgeous tits, I loved them. But here in part 3, I didn't care for any of the characters. And if I remember correctly, the actress who played Stretch in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 was in this movie. But it's like a bit of a bitchy character. I'd have to do some more research on that, but I'm pretty sure there's the girl who played Stretch in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 was in this movie, but I preferred her character in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and I'm not a big fan of the sequels of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, but I prefer her role in that rather than in this movie. It's good to see Warwick Davis back playing Leprechaun for the 3rd time, but the guy who was in the leading role in this one didn't care for his character. In fact, Warwick Davis' character was the only one I cared about, so right off the bat, the problems I have with this movie is of these following reasons. Has no comparison to part 2. Changing the rules all the time of how to kill the leprechaun. Didn't care for the characters. I thought the script was poor for the Las Vegas setting. And basically just no storyline with the previous 2 movies. I wish it was more true to the original ones, or there people would take more interest. I mean, with all the research that I gathered about Warwick Davis saying that this one was his favourite one in the series, I find that hard to believe. He told me the first one was his favourite when I met him. But it even says here in the receptionist column on this particular website, it says Leprechaun 3 went on to become the highest selling direct video film of 1995. Because this film was released in 1995 on June 27th. Made $2.5 million at the box office. And if I'm being perfectly honest, this movie seemed like it was going on forever, but it's only 94 minutes long. But it was the 3rd installment of the franchise, and it was the first one to be direct to video in the Leprechaun series. Wow. Yeah, directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. That rings a bell. I think he's made other films that I'm particularly remembered by. I think he did some Australian work of some sort with another particular movie. I'm not quite sure, but it does ring a bell. So overall, everyone, not a fan of this movie, I'm afraid. The next one, Leprechaun in Space, is next. I'll give you my general thoughts when I upload that one, but it's a shame I'm not a big fan of this particular Leprechaun movie, but you know what they say, you can't beat the originals, and It takes a special franchise for them to get better as they go along, but sadly that doesn't happen in this case. Nothing against Warwick Davis or anything like that. I love his Leprechaun character, and I love the first two movies, with the second one being my favourite, but this one, not really particularly my cup of tea. I didn't think it had the same humour as it did in part two, and I don't think the gore sequences were that good like they were in part two either, so a little bit of a step down. Thanks for watching this, everyone. Please like, rate, and comment, and stay tuned for some more reviews on Leprechaun. It continues. Peace out.